Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Fumilayo from Bet Media, and in this Python tutorial, we will be talking about Python conditions and if statements. Yeah, Python supports the usual logical condition from mathematics. So we have the equals, not equals, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. And these conditions can be used in several ways. And it's most commonly used in if statements and loops. Do not worry, we'll make a video on loops after this one. An if statement is usually written by using the if keyword. So I have a flow diagram showing what the if statement actually is. So we have a condition, and then if that condition is true, then it executes the statement. But then if the condition is false, and that is the end of the if statement. So an example would be we would want to use one of those logical conditions with our if statement. So first I'll define my variable. For example, x equals to 5. And this is the way you write your if statement, that if x is is greater than 0, and then you put your colon, print. I wanted to print that x is positive. So what my if statement is, and this is my variable x equals to 5. So it's going to check if x is greater than 0. And if it is greater than 0, it's going to print that x is positive. So if you run it, see x is positive because it is greater than 0. So we've seen the if statement. Next is the if else. So if else allows you to execute a different code block depending on whether the condition is true or false. So here we said that if x is less than 0, is greater than 0, it should print that x is positive. But what if this condition is not true? See, nothing happens because we do not have an else statement. So that is where the if else comes into play. We have our flow chart, so we have our condition. If condition is true, then it executes the if code. But if the condition is false, then it executes the else code. But here we do not have an else code. So that is what if else is. So now to write the for the else, right? If same thing, if x equals to 5, and if x is greater than 0, do not forget your column, and also this your indentation. So once you write your if statement, your next line should be 4 space before after the beginning of your if statement. And then you want to print that x is positive, and then you press enter. You want to print, and then your if else should start at the same point. So then we want to have else, that if that condition is not true, I want it to print uh, x is negative. So this is our if else. You see, according to this flowchart, we have our condition. Our condition is if x is greater than 0, then it should print x is positive. That is the code, the if code. But if x is not greater than 0, then it should print that x is negative. So if I run this, we see that x is positive because 5 is greater than 0. But then if I have minus 5 here instead of just 5, and then I run this, we see s is negative. So this is how you get your if statement. If your condition is not true, then the else condition should be true. But what if I want to have multiple condition, not just two, as in if else? That's when the elf comes into place. If elf s. It allows you to check multiple conditions and execute multiple different codes based on those conditions. So it stands for if else. So elf is the short form of else if, that so if the condition is not true, then else if the next condition then goes further and further till we get to the final else condition. So this is the flow chart. We have first our if condition. If it's true, then it runs the code for if. If it's false, then it goes to our first elf and then it checks if that is true. Then it runs the body of the elf. If it's false, then it goes to the body of else. But you can have multiple elf depending on what you want. So let's have our code. For example, if I have x equals to 7, and then I have my if condition, if x is greater than 0, then I want it to print as usual, x is positive. Now enter, go back to the beginning of the margin, and then I have my health, that if x is, for example, let's say it's equal to 0. Now I want it to print that x is 0, and then I have my else, that so if both conditions are not true, then I want it to print the x is negative. So this is it. So my variable x equals to 7. If x is equals to 0, is greater than 0, then it prints that x is positive. But if it's equal to 0, it prints that it is 0. And then if it's none of these two, then it should print that x is negative. So if we run this, we see x is positive because 7 is greater than 0. If I change this to 0, and if we run this, we see that x is 0. And then if I have minus 9 minus 8 for example, and then I run this, you see x is negative. So this is the simplest way to explain the if statement, the else if, and the if else yes condition. So let me know if you want me to talk more about it, and do not forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. And I'll see you next time.